quitting in record numbers. They caused this educational crisis and then told people the only way to fix it was with vouchers and school choice. To be clear, school choice exists in Texas already. I'm not just a teacher. Today I stand here as a mother of a 9-year-old little boy named Jack, and he attends school in Pflugerville ISD. I no longer work there, and we don't live there, but we decided it was the best place for him, so we applied for an out-of-district transfer. It was easy, it was free, and he is currently thriving at River Oaks Elementary in Miss G's class. These transfers are available at nearly every district in the state of Texas. We already have choice in our public school system. We do not need vouchers. Education is not a business. Students aren't products. Competition from private schools will not make me or any other teacher work harder, because we already work as hard as we can every single day for our kids. Those kids are the only motivation we need. A raise would be great, but what would help us even more is smaller class sizes and less high-stakes testing. Teachers did not create this crisis. We're just doing our best to operate within a system that was set up for failure and trying our best to give our students the best we can, no matter where they came from, the best opportunity to succeed. That is our job. I attended my first Save Texas School rally in 2011. I was a finalist for District Teacher of the Year that year, and I was also facing losing my job because, you guessed it, we had a district budget crisis. I cannot believe that I am still here fighting for this. I started my fight then, and I will continue. I was at that marathon education committee meeting a few weeks ago that lasted 22 hours. In hour 20, I finally got to speak at 4:30 in the morning. I spoke for my 2 minutes, I went home, I took a 2-hour nap, and I went to work and taught that day. I did not get into teaching to become an advocate for public schools. I didn't get into teaching to become involved in politics. I became a teacher so that I could teach. But for some reason, our elected officials seem to be dead set on making that as difficult as possible. But we have a voice, and you can use your voice. I urge you today to call your state reps and tell them we do not need vouchers. What we need is fully funded public education for the 5.5 million Texas children in our public schools. That is what my students deserve. That is what my son deserves, and that is what I will continue to fight for. Thank you.
I wouldn't want to follow that. But we've got somebody I think that probably is able to. And that's one of the best friends we could have here in Austin and in Texas, and that's Representative Lloyd Doggett. Thank you very much.
Welcome, patriots, for our public schools. That is a hard act to follow. A teacher who's there on the firing lines, the very kind of person we need to be supporting today and who Greg Abbott has been abandoning. Supporting our public schools is about saving our endangered democracy. And thank you, Alan, thank you, Lewis, and this whole Austin Voices team that has been such an effective advocate for our unquestionably important public schools. I salute my state legislative colleagues. You heard from Vicki, Donna, Aaron. You'll hear from Lulu and James, all of whom are leaders in this struggle. And our PTAs, Daphne, and PTAs across the country. Great teachers like you just heard from, students and school administrators who are leading the resistance against these devious Abbott plans. I'm joined by my own in-house education expert, a former first grade bilingual teacher here in Austin, and later President Obama's early education expert, my wife Libby, who's over here somewhere in the crowd. And I can tell you, as a proud product of the Austin Public Schools, as the father and grandfather of successful Austin Public School students, We must value our dedicated educators who have done so much for our community. Our public schools are about individual opportunity, and they're also about our state's economic future. Long before I got to Congress, my very first elected job was president or captain of the safety patrol at Bracker Woods Elementary. I can tell you now up in Washington, I'm on a different kind of safety patrol, but it's needed just as much because an unrestrained doge taking a chainsaw to everything is it's as dangerous as a speeding car through a school zone. As you know, Musk and Trump have been doing everything they can to limit federal aid to education and shut down the U.S. Department of Education. This isn't just about closing a building in Washington. It's about weakening and endangering our most vulnerable students and endangering our schools here in Texas. Like the $1.8 billion that we get in Title I schools that serve 3 million Texas students, the millions who rely on bilingual education, and the opportunities through IDA for children with disabilities. Reducing that support for early childhood education, for those programs, for student financial assistance, for higher education and research labs, is abandoning our children who are working to achieve their full God-given potential. And how fitting, how very appropriate that Governor Abbott was up there with President Trump in Washington signing his overreaching executive decree, since both of them are committed to undermining public education. Here's what Trump was really saying that day. The federal government provides a total, while very important, of less than 3% of the dollars that fund public schools in Texas. 97% comes from right here in our state. But he says, thanks to Abbott, of course, that Texas has been ranked near the bottom in its support for public education. And so Trump claims that if we give Abbott 3% of all that 3% of the federal funding, that somehow a person dedicated to wrecking our public schools will improve the quality of education here. It makes no sense. And while these attacks on federal aid to education are very important, vouchers represent the far greater danger. Just after his inauguration, Trump issued another executive order insisting that every federal education dollar that could be shifted to private academies should be used. The same extremists who want to impose vouchers here in Texas that don't show respect for our public school teachers, they are seeking to supplement the Abbott plan with a federal voucher plan. That's a plan that will direct $10 billion of tax credits to cover private schools. It's almost as if they have a plan to encourage people to leave public education. And when I opposed it last year in the Ways and Means Committee, I didn't quote Democrats. I relied on Republican state legislators from some of the reddest parts of this state. Because our public schools don't only educate, they bind communities together. And that's particularly true in some of our small towns and rural communities that are controlled by Republicans. This should be a nonpartisan issue because Governor Abbott has spent millions against conservative members of his own party in a partisan attempt to privatize our public schools. And in Washington, Trump is now renewing that same crusade. His federal voucher legislation is designed for the well-connected, for those who don't have to worry about overcrowded classrooms or underpaid teachers. Together with the Texas Disruptive Plan, this is a radical move to incentivize parents to get their children out of our public schools. We've got to resist it in every way possible here in Washington.
You have to decide if you want this. You've been hearing me.
know what a tough job these legislators have. I won't understate it. There's some people that say success is unlikely. There are others that say it's impossible on this issue. But I want to remind you of the flame of...
Oh, yeah. Woo!
Impossible just before you get it done. We're going to get this done because it is so critical to the future of our state. I have no illusion about the challenge that we face, that our legislators and our school forces across the state face. But I also remind you of something I said at our last SOS rally. A great Texan from up in Bonham, Texas. His name is on the building in which I serve in Washington, D.C. Sam Rayburn, the long-term Speaker of the House. He knew about what happens when you destroy and destruct things like our public school system. He knew the difference between building good schools and tearing them down. And he said, if I can find his exact words, he said, it's a lot easier to tear something down than to build it up. And any jackass can kick down a barn, but it takes a good carpenter to build one. Great carpenters here today, great carpenters in our legislature that are fighting this. So today, the words of Sam Rayburn, I say, too much is at stake. Don't let the jackasses kick this barn down. Let's stand together for public schools.
Abbott's like a magician. The vouchers is his distraction over here. I'm going to take $1 billion from you over here. Meanwhile, he's grifting $10 billion over here. The trucks have rolled up and taken $10 billion out of our public schools in the last 6 years. Our schools are struggling. It's a grift. And so we need to stop vouchers, but we need to put $1,300 back in for every child in Texas. Okay? Stop vouchers now!
Stop vouchers now! Stop vouchers now! Stop vouchers now! Stop vouchers now! Stop vouchers now! Stop vouchers now! Stop vouchers now! Stop vouchers now! Stop vouchers now! Stop vouchers now! Stop vouchers now! Stop vouchers now! Stop vouchers now! Stop
and fight to get this school reopened. And it was a student fight. We've got community members here that fought. And these kids are the result. They're great. All right, go for it, guys. Work. We've got Representative Donna Howard. No introduction needed. Here's Donna.
Thank you, Alan. I guess everybody's warmed up now. to lovers of democracy, lovers of an educated citizenry, lovers of our public schools. Thank you for showing up and speaking out on behalf of our students, our teachers, and all who are a part of our neighborhood-based, constitutionally required public schools where 5.5 million Texas students, no matter who they are, where they live, rich or poor, are welcomed to walk through or even use a wheelchair to enter through the doors of their public schools, where they can learn and thrive and prepare for their futures. I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I have awakened, or dare I say, I'm woke, to what can only be described as a calculated effort to dismantle the very foundation of our democracy, and that is public education. From banning books and eliminating any reference to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So the DEI now stands for discrimination, exclusion, and inequality, to starving our schools of funding and resources while sending money to unaccountable private schools. I can't help but conclude that some are on a mission to set our schools up for failure, using our kids to justify their privatization of education, exacerbating the divide between the haves and the have-nots. And don't tell me that money doesn't matter. I previously served on the Eanes School Board, an exceptional school district with great outcomes for its students. Though the state school funding formula equalizes the wealth of that district so that it's funded similarly to other districts, because of the resources in the community, Eanes has a foundation that helps pay for additional teachers and programs, ensuring the students have what is needed to succeed. And I do not begrudge them that. This is what any parent wants for their children and would do if they could. But with over 60% of Texas students being economically disadvantaged, that is not an option for many. Again, money matters. Funding matters. And we have examples right here that demonstrate that reality. Despite what we hear from Governor Abbott and others in this building, we are not spending more money on Texas students. In fact, according to the Legislative Budget Board, when adjusted for population growth and inflation, the state is actually spending less than it did over the past decade. And this is at the same time that we have had an over 40% increase in special education students that require substantially more funding and have gone through a pandemic and are losing federal dollars that have been used to help students overcome the learning losses resulting from the pandemic. In fact, since the last time the state increased the basic allotment in the school funding formula in 2019, we have seen a 22% inflation rate. So just to keep up with inflation and maintain the purchasing power of $1 in 2019 would require the state to provide an additional $20 billion in our biennial budget. So what is actually being proposed? $7.7 billion. That is absolutely a lot of money, but that's not $20 billion. That amount provides an increase in the basic allotment of just $395 per student, which is only about a third of what is needed just to maintain, not increase, just to maintain the 2019 level of funding. It should be $1,300 per student. That's why I, Vicki, and other legislators have submitted legislation that would increase the basic allotment by $1,300 and then index it to inflation so that increases would be automatic moving forward rather than coming back here fighting for crumbs every single legislative session. And raising the basic allotment not only provides desperately needed resources for our students, it also decreases property taxes and decreases recapture. It is a win-win-win. The voucher scam is a calculated distraction, a proverbial wolf in sheep's clothing, masquerading as parental choice when the choice of the majority of parents, grandparents, and Texans is to fully fund our neighborhood schools. The time is now. Our kids can't wait. They deserve grown-ups to actually be grown up and take care of business because their very futures and the future of our country depends on it. As America's founders recognized, for a democracy to survive, it must derive its just power from the consent of the governed, and that it is public education that makes that possible. So thanks to all of you here today for being the grown-ups in the room and demanding fully funded quality education, public education for all Texas students, ensuring that this great democratic experiment continues to thrive. Save our schools!
Save our schools! Save our schools! Save our schools! So I want to ask a couple of things. One, Representative Howard mentioned that $1,300 and it's her bill and Representative Goodwin's bill. That's the language that can go into that funding bill. If you haven't used that QR code yet, it's a quick sign up and we'll get you information, letters that you can send, information you can use to call the folks in this building next week, okay? Want everybody to do that. And also, if you don't have a dot yet, staff look around, see to help people get dots. That helps us know exactly how many people are here when they say, oh, 200 people showed up. I don't see 200 people. I see thousands of people here today. Speaking of thousands, who do we have here from the Valley or San Antonio? They traveled, some people left at 3:30 this morning. 3:30 this morning. Let's give a round of applause. Who left here from the DFW area? Awesome, awesome. What about East Texas? Who do we have here? What about Houston? Okay, people have come from all over. Any other places? West Texas. Okay, I know some people. I saw some people way out driving in. Tell me, where are you from? Someone was trying to yell, where are you from? Lockhart! Great barbecue. Okay, so, yay. So we've got U.S. Representative Greg Casar coming up right now. I want to welcome Greg, a friend of Austin and a friend of America.
Buenas tardes, how are we doing? I'm Congressman Greg Casar, and I want to start out by talking about the question I've heard from so many of you over and over again. What are we going to do? In dark times such as these, how can we feel hope? And y'all, to me, the answer is real clear. The answer is right in front of me. The only answer to growing oligarchy is firing up the engines of our grassroots democracy. The only answer to oligarchy is organizing. The only answer to puppet politicians is the power of working people, is the power of teachers and students and neighbors coming together. Remember this. Greg Abbott wants you to feel powerless. Donald Trump wants you to feel powerless. Elon Musk wants us to feel powerless. They want us to feel powerless because they are afraid of your power. They know that it is a scam, it's a masquerade they're pushing, and their majorities actually are not mandates. Their majorities are so thin. I'm here to say loud and clear, we are going to save our public schools here in Texas. We're gonna save them through the power of your organizing, just like you've stopped these voucher scams in the past. Because whether you are a Democrat, an independent, a Republican, a progressive, a conservative, or none of these, you're against our public schools' money being taken away and handed out in the form of vouchers to private companies and to the billionaire class. You're against it. And if the elected officials, if the elected Republicans in this building acted like representatives of rural Texans, representatives of their neighbors, instead of employees of Greg Abbott or Donald Trump, then we would stop these scams. But they don't want to act that way on their own. They want to act as representatives if they feel the pressure. And it's time, Texas, to turn up the pressure. I started to see some nervousness the other day from somebody that I just got a chance to meet. Donald Trump's new Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon. She invited us to a meeting with her. And, you know, we sat down, she tried to put a pretty face and pretty words on it, but she said that she wants to implement the Trump-Musk scheme to eliminate the Department of Education. That's what she laid out in the meeting. That they want to shut down the Department of Education so that she, Trump, and Musk can hand over public money to billionaires. And by the way, all three of them are billionaires. What they laid out that they want to do is hurt public schools, then complain about public schools being broken, then campaign on those institutions being broken so they can put their own power above the needs of everyday students. That's just kind of what she said. She tried to say it was block grants or that she wants to send power to the states. But you got to ignore all those words they put on it when what she means is, right now you pay taxpayer dollars that every student has a right to, and instead she wants to take that money and either give it to billionaires and tax breaks or give it to people like Greg Abbott so he can pick and choose which students are deserving. That's what they want to do. But I started this story by telling you she was nervous. Every time she said this, she tried to put all sorts of frilly words around it, telling us it's actually all going to be okay. And she's nervous because she knows the country is against it. She knows that this could all fall apart on her, that if you talk to enough of your neighbors, if you push enough Republicans in town halls, if you make the phone calls, if you sign up here with all the organizations, that we can stop this and we can save our public schools. And not just save those schools, but fully fund those schools. People are getting organized. I didn't know if I could make it today, but then a third grader named Evie came to my town hall and said, I'm here to hold politicians accountable. I need you at the Save Texas Schools rally. And so I came and found her and kept my promise to her today. And that's what everybody's job is now. Find an elected official, hold them accountable, knock on doors, and say, if you want to represent billionaires, then you do not get to represent the people in this house any longer. And I'm not pretending that work is easy, but it has been done. In the 1920s, when the robber barons, which were, you know, the oil billionaires and the Elon Musks of their day, when they took over the government and they enriched themselves using the government and they caused the Great Depression, people didn't just give up. They organized at rallies just like this, took their capital back, elected FDR president, passed Social Security, created the New Deal, funded our public schools, defeated fascism around the world, and gave us what we have today. And the 1960s, when the segregationists had a chokehold on this building and on the U.S. Capitol, people rallied, they organized, they desegregated our schools, they elected LBJ president, they passed the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, creating Medicaid, Medicare, and Head Start all in one term. That is the legacy passed along to us today. That's the work you're doing here today. And upon that same legacy, we're going to not only save our public schools, but save our public school teachers and fire Elon Musk. Don't fire public school teachers. Fire who? Don't fire our school nurses. Fire who? Don't fire the Department of Education staff. Fire who? Fire who? So on our darkest days, I want you to remember your power. Your power to create a much better world after this. Because there's got to be a better world after this. Our biggest enemy is not just Elon Musk. It's not even Donald Trump or Greg Abbott. Our biggest enemy is cynicism. The idea they try to implant in us that we cannot create a better world. That we cannot do great things together. And our job is to prove them wrong. Our job is not just to defeat this voucher scam, but to make a world where every single child in America has an extraordinary public school. Our job is not just to protect health care for our kids, but to expand our healthcare system so a parent never has to check their bank account before taking their kid to a doctor. Our job is not just to save the Department of Education, but make sure every teacher is paid a decent wage and is respected more than the billionaires for the work that it is that they do. Our job is to break the unholy alliance between corporate greed and corrupt government, rebuild trust in what we can do together, create institutions we can be so proud of that no lackeys in government like this can ever attack our schools ever again. That's our job. That's how we defeat not just Trump and Abbott and Musk, but the very cynicism that created them in the first place. I don't feel that cynicism in this room. I feel hope. I feel inspired. So keep on going, y'all. We can save our public schools and save our country. Thank y'all very much.
The part you all been waiting for. Okay. So everybody should have a card. If you don't have a card, find a neighbor to share it with, because you got to sing along. Okay. So there's a song. It's called Greg per student per student 1300. Okay. And it's an 80s song, but it's a right now message.
Okay. Long live the teachers, long live the public schools. Let's go! Talk to you. Our schools are closing because of what you do. You tell us, give me my vouchers and then I'll pay. It's a lie. You want the kids to suffer till you get your way.